coronavirus and personal wellness. 4 questions to pause and reflect on these uncertain times. So coronavirus, right? COVID-19. I mean, imagine this time in our living. I mean, to be enclosed in our homes, to be taken away from work, to have major things shut down within cities, to have just worldwide attention put on this. I mean, this is something that we will all remember as we move through this period of time. And my heart and prayers go out to those families that are affected by COVID-19. And right, it has all put us in a place of very uncertainty. And if you don't know it, one of our needs for living is to be certain. We have just a need for certainty. And when things don't happen that way, the way that we expect them to be happening, knock us off our routine, we can react in very different ways. And so I want to have you just quickly pause and reflect on this right here, right now. This topic, coronavirus and personal wellness. I want you to think about coronavirus as a tire gauge. I don't know if you ever use a tire gauge, but it's one of those little things that you put on the tires. And it's a tool, right? It's a tool that will tell you how much is your tire inflated. Is it underinflated or is it overinflated? And so if you ever pop it in a tire, it'll shoot up that little stick and it have different numbers on there that tells you, are you underinflated or are you overinflated? And to think about coronavirus, COVID-19 as that kind of tool, as that tire gauge, and what does it tell you about your personal wellness, right? We are all in this uncertainty times where the external factors have significantly changed for us. Maybe it's affected our job. Maybe it's affected spending more time with family. Maybe it's affected the way we're eating. Maybe it's brought on more things than we can handle. Maybe it's just left you in a state of fear, panic, overwhelm, frustration, anger, joy, happiness. I mean, who knows where and how you're feeling right now. But I want you to think about these 4 questions. These 4 questions are help you gauge what you're processing in these uncertain times. So question number 1 to ask yourself: what is my reaction? And pause and reflect, because most of us do not get into this question. We don't ask, what is my reaction? We just go because we are constantly running on a little program that it's our habits. We hardly stop. We're just creatures of habit, right? We go through our normal reactions, and that's just how we always react. But I want you to stop and think and ask yourself this question: what is my reaction right now? Am I responding with, constantly checking my phone for the latest updates? Am I constantly watching the news and thinking about, how it's spreading and how it's affecting more families, or how it's getting even closer to me? Am I, what is my reaction to, everything, the chaos, the uncertainty of this time in our life right now? I'm guaranteed that this is a chaos or an uncertain event that's affecting the entire nation. But you in your life, you have individual uncertain moments in your life, whether that's losing a job, whether that's, having a breakup, whether that's, losing a family member to a death. There's moments where we all face these uncertain times. And I want you to ask yourself, what is your reaction? How do you respond? And guaranteed how you respond is going to say everything about what is in this next question. This next question asks, how is it making me feel? how is it making me feel? And again, we get on this continual pattern of just doing, habit. How we behave is just how we do it. But if you really start asking yourself this question, which is, how is it making me feel? Is it making me feel frustrated? Is it making me feel sad? Is it making me feel worried? Is it making me feel anxious? Is it making me feel frustrated, overwhelmed, angry? What is it making me feel? And if you were to just take apart your day and to look, how are you feeling on a daily basis? Now this is going to tell you a lot about yourself, right? Because again, coronavirus as a little tire gauge tool, you pop it into the tire. Right now it's an event that's happening outside of you and it's affecting you internally. But how you're dealing with it internally is going to say something about your personal wellness. And so as you reflect upon this, and ask yourself that question. How is it making me feel? You then bring awareness to your internal condition. You then bring awareness inside and you begin to start and reflect and say, wait, is that really how I want to show up for my family? Is that really how I want to be for myself? Am I really setting an example for the people who are looking at me right now? Right? How is it making me feel? Simple question to ask yourself right here, right now, as you watch this video. Third question. What am I doing as a result? What am I doing as a result? What are my behaviors in this? Am I continually flipping through my phone? Am I continually having the news on? Am I just so worried about the wellness of my kids and what's my job what's going to happen with my job, what's going to happen with this and with that, and am I feeling overwhelmed? What's your pattern of thinking in this situation right now? How are you doing? How are you behaving? What behaviors do you find yourself doing more in constant panic, in constant overwhelm? What types of behaviors? Because guarantee how you are feeling is going to affect what you are doing as a result. And if what you're doing as a result is not taking you to being the person that you want to be, then again, stop, pause, reflect. Deep breath in, deep breath out. Asking yourself, what am I doing as a result? Do you have things, once you realize that in your life that things are chaotic, things are angry, frustrating, overwhelming, do you have practices? Do you have a ritual? Do you have something that you can turn to calm that internal condition within inside you? Because guarantee what's happening outside of us with COVID-19, it could be any other disease that's happening, it could be any other situation, but how it's happening right now, what are you doing as a result? How are you behaving? Because the entire world can change in a blink of an eye, right? I mean, we've all been there. We've all been there where something was removed from us in our life. Something we didn't expect to happen. Something that we hoped would not happen, right? That's life happening at those moments. But how we deal with it tells how we are being, which is question number 4. And isn't this the biggest question, which connects to so many different areas and avenues of life? Who am I being? Am I being the person right now who is worried, panicked, overwhelmed, frustrated, angry, lashing out, yelling at my kids, yelling at my spouse, not taking care of myself? Who am I being? Right? Pause and answer that question for yourself right now. What are your reactions? Do you find yourself doing to avoid feeling? And by avoiding feeling, just building it up, suppressing it down to the point where it comes out in a lashing out towards someone. Who am I being? Am I being that person who's constantly checking the updates and looking at different things and just, again, engaged in the latest events coming up, the latest updates, where I completely disconnect myself from my loved ones around me? Or am I being the person who's constantly looking for, things outside of me to try to make me feel better, and I don't want to deal with these emotional feelings that are coming up as a result of what's going on right now, so I'm going here, I'm going there, I'm trying to do this for everyone else so that I can ignore what's needing to be addressed inside. So I want to ask you that question. Who am I being right now? And as you begin to answer that question and begin to look at yourself, I want you to consider, once you bring awareness to where you're at, it's position A, decide on where you want to be, point B. And notice that, where do you want to be? Is it that place of feeling in control? What if, or imagine that this time in our life right now with everything going on, what if this is an opportunity to connect more with my loved ones? What if this is an opportunity to have those conversations that I've been putting off? What if this is a time right now to make some momentum on the dream that I've been putting aside? What if this is a time to learn about myself? What if this is a time where I can begin to develop and learn about myself? And if you are asking yourself any of those questions, it's what we call personal development. Getting from A to B. How does one go from A to B? How do you start that process? Well, it first starts with getting awareness and seeing this thing called personal development as important for you getting a sense of control in your life. It's about learning the new things, the steps to create new competencies inside yourselves, new beliefs, new mindsets, new outlooks to take you to being that person B and making those things a habit. As a personal transformation, personal development trainer, coach, this begins to make things happen, because as I've experienced it in my life, going through this various wheels and spinning myself at the point of I was so frustrated, overwhelmed, not fulfilled, living with those emotions every day and feeling so frustrated and not knowing how to get through the next thing because you're just stuck. You just feel stuck and life's not moving and nothing's getting better, and why even try, and that stuff doesn't work. Being at that moment at A, most of us will not move. Most of us will just stay there. Why? Because it's the patterns, for sure, running in our minds subconsciously, unconsciously. But most of us don't move until it hurts enough. Most of us will not make that decision to change until something bad enough happens to make us move. Most people that I've worked with, that I know, that I, take them along this route, they don't change until something bad enough happens. And so you could wait for that moment in your life. You could wait and say, well, if it's not that bad. Things are okay. They're not great, but they're okay. Nothing's just that bad. And so, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with keeping the way it is. And perfect. If that's you, continue on. But if you are someone who's going to ask yourself, you know what, there's a better version of me out there. You know what, my life, if anything in this situation right now, it tells me that life is unexpected. What really is important to me right now in my life? Who do I want to be in the next year? For my kids. Am I being a role model for my kids right now by the way I'm reacting? By the way I'm talking about this? By the way I'm addressing this? Am I being a role model for the person that I want to be and feel good when I look in the mirror? Am I being that person for them? So as you begin to contemplate those questions, I want you to ask yourself, where are you at in your personal development journey? And how can you further along that process? Maybe one book. Maybe it's just opening a book during these uncertain times. Maybe it's listening to a podcast. Maybe it's finding someone else who is thinking like you and talking to them about it. Maybe it's just simply turning off the devices, structuring some quiet time. Maybe it's just setting up an activity that you can create a personal memory with your kids, with your spouse, with your family. And what is it for you to again get you along this track of what could possibly happen when you begin to develop yourself? When do you begin to grow and expand yourself? They call this field self-improvement, personal growth, personal development, personal expansion, personal awareness, right? For most of us, we don't take that time to self-assess, to find out where we're at, to find out where we're going. And for me, the foundation of any success in any area of your life starts with this personal development. And if you're someone who is along this route, feel free to reach out to so many resources that are out there on YouTube, on Facebook, on just typing in personal development. There's tons of resources, right? Feel free to find someone you connect with and be the best version of you.